Morning, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. Let's just wait a second to see if anybody pops on. But today, instead of movement, I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of a Q&A and just talking about hip mobility. So give me a wave when you come on or say hello. And if you do have any questions now, you can type those in and I will try to get to as many of the questions as I can. I'll also take some notes. So if I don't get to your questions, I will send the answers to you as best as I can, keep up with everything. So hip mobility, I have my new program that is live now, so it's available for purchase or you can access it right now. I'm really excited about that. And before we talk about the program, let's talk about a few questions. So again, put your questions in the box so that I can see them, and let's get at it. First off, I'm Victoria, if some of you do not know who I am, and I am the owner, creator of Strong with Nature Yoga, and I am a mobility expert, yoga expert, and I just love teaching both, and I'm so excited to have this program now available for all of you to do wherever you are. So a couple of the questions that came up, a lot of them were the same. So I'm just narrowing it down to a few, so I'm not going to take up too much of your time. First question that came up was, what activity creates the best mobility? And I thought that this was a really great question because I believe that a lot of us would have that mindset, like what can I join or what type of sport or whatever it is can I do that will actually give me the best hip mobility? And what I want you to do is, instead of thinking of taking an activity to increase your mobility, I want you to think about how you can pair up mobility with your activity. So whatever you are doing, how can we bring mobility into that activity, or how can we use mobility exercises to increase our mobility for that activity? So for example, a lot of people might think that yoga is a really great thing for us to create mobility. I would say yoga is really great for us to create flexibility and maybe a little mobility in some places, but a lot of it is passive stretching, so we're not going to necessarily create mobility. What is mobility, you might say then, if it's not flexibility? Well, mobility is that strength and flexibility, and we're trying to bridge the gap between the passive and the active so that we can have strength in our end ranges of motions. So, my advice always is, and when clients come to me, is what activity do you want to do? If you love running, well, let's do what we can to keep you running. If you want to weight lift, let's look at the positions that you need to have range of motion in to and increase the strength in those. I work with a lot of hockey players, and they are demanding lots on their body in different ways, and so we work excuse me, especially a lot of hip mobility, but knees and ankles and all the different things so that we're not injuring. And that's the biggest thing. And you still may injure, but we want to be able to take our body and have a shorter healing time because we have that strength and we have that mobility with our flexibility. Creating hypermobility is a huge problem. That's what happened in my body. We do too much stretching and not enough strengthening, and so that's when we get a lot of injury. So pop your questions in. I'm going to move on to the next question. Next question was, is 10 minutes of mobility a day better than 1 hour of mobility work a week, or something similar to that? So I say, whatever you can stay disciplined and consistent with, that's the best. It doesn't matter if you say, well, I'm going to do mobility every week and you never do it, then that's not going to get you any farther. So whatever you think you can do that is going to be consistent in your life, that's going to get you farther because you're going to actually do it. Now, with that being said, I do believe that mobility every day is beneficial, and it doesn't have to be like a giant, even in 10 minutes, that you can do a lot in 10 minutes. It could be like 2 minutes, 3 minutes of movement, having movement breaks, even just like moving in your chair if you're seated for work or whatever it may be, creating movement habits. When you do mobility or when you do any type of movement throughout your day, you're going to feel better. And so if you feel better, all of a sudden you're going to start to want to move, and you are going to want to, you're going to be craving, your body's going to crave that movement. And so you'll be more encouraged to keep moving throughout your days. So I guess that was kind of like either way. So if you can only commit to doing a routine once a week, then commit to that. Do that. If you think, well, I would be better if I, every day got up and I did 10 minutes, amazing. Do that. Whatever you can be consistent with, we can make that work. The point is, I want you to move some way, and you will feel better when you do that. Don't forget, pop your questions in, give me a wave, give me a heart so I know you're out there. Okay. If I have pain in one of my hips but not the other hip, do I just train the injured hip or the hip that has the pain? I say no. I say you are going to train them both. You may have to modify the one that you are having pain in or that is injured, and not modify the other side quite as much, but we want to continue to build strength in our entire body. So I want you to make sure that you are hitting up both. So that was a pretty straightforward answer. Any other questions, feel free to pop them in here today. If you're popping in, I'm Victoria, and we are talking about the Hip Mobility Program that is now live for everybody to get. So let's talk about that program now. It is a three-phase program that I have created, and I would consider it a basic hip mobility program. So it's really for everybody. First phase, we learn how to reconnect with our hip and how our hip works. I love phase one. I do phase one all the time. It really is a great way for you to develop again that neurological transmitting to our hips so that you know how to move your hip in all the different ways. Because what happens is over time we start to compensate and our body starts to move other parts of our body thinking that it's a hip, but it's not a hip. So we're going to retrain our hip to be a hip in phase one. In phase two, we are going to continue to build strength and flexibility in our hips. So we want to challenge ourselves. We're going to discover where our end range of motion is a little bit more. We are going to challenge where our strength is in that active range of motion, in our passive range of motion, in all the different areas and in all the different movements. Then in phase three, we are putting everything to the test, excuse me, and we are going to be bridging that gap of passive range of motion and active range of motion. So what does that mean? That means if I can lift my leg, I'm going to just pretend this is my leg, with my hand up to here, that's my passive range of motion. But if I don't have any assistance and this is all I could lift my leg, there's this big gap between here. So we're going to try to bridge that gap so that you can actively lift your leg to there. Doesn't that seem amazing? I know everybody wants to be able to do this. So you're going to work really hard in phase three, or you're going to work hard in all of them, but you're going to really see the benefits here. Now, the beauty of the program is the way that I have created it is it will fit into your schedule. As you're learning the exercises, it'll take about 15, maybe 20 minutes. Once you know what they are, you can bring that down to about 10 minutes. You can also just do some of the program. So say you're working in phase two and it's about 20 minutes long. There's like 4 exercises. You do not have to do all the exercises at once. So you could like put it throughout your day, or you can put it together. The other thing that I really love about the way I did this program is there's no graduating. So once you do phase one, you never actually leave phase one. We keep phase one and we just put phase two with it. So we start to pair it up. And then we never get rid of phase 1 and 2. When phase 3 comes in, we put all of them in. So you're continually working in all the phases. The other thing is there's really no end to the program either, because there's no end to mobility. That's another question that I get all the time is, how long do I have to do mobility training? And I say until the day you die, because while you are moving your body, we need to keep working on our mobility. And so in all of the exercises, you can keep challenging yourself as much as you want to keep working on your goals. So if we are working to lift our foot up off the floor, then once we can lift our foot up the floor, we're going to slide something underneath there so that we can lift our foot up higher and higher and higher. So it just keeps going. So there's really something in there for everyone. With that being said, if that's not your goal to get all the way, your leg up to here, no worries. My goal is to live without pain and to move for longevity. So that's why I created this program, so that you can have those goals too, or it can fit into the other goals that you have. So if there's no more questions, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I do want to talk about my VIP program, or not program, it's my VIP group. It's free for you to join. You can get the link in my bio. You can also get the link in my bio for the Hip Mobility Program. You can also go to my website, strongwithnatureyoga.com. So in the VIP, you can join this list for free. And every Saturday, I do a live. Usually it's movement-based. Today, I'm traveling, so I'm in a hotel. And I just wanted to touch base about all of this hip mobility stuff. So I will send an email to you in your inbox with a free movement class every week. You can join me live on Instagram, of course. If you miss it, you will get it every Monday. I will send it out to you. Also, you have access to my free Instagram group. That is a private group where I post all of those classes as well. So thank you. That was a lot of talking in 10 minutes. I hope that I answered all of those questions. If after you've watched this, or if you have questions that pop up in the future, feel free to send them my way. I hope that you have a great Saturday, and thank you so much for listening. And I hope that you join and get access to my program. Oh, if you listened all this way, you get to also know that the first week of the program is free. So you can try the program for 1 week with no payment and cancel at any time in that week without paying. So that is your bonus for listening to me blab for the entire 10 minutes, is that you get to find that out. So anyways, love all of you. Have a great rest of your day. And what else do I want to say? Nothing. Happy hip mobility. Thanks.